Hi everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and this video is the last review of Classics Review Week. Yeah! Neutral Milk Hotel, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Marvin Gaye is unquestionably one of the greatest and most influential soul singers to have ever lived. Madvillain is the infamous pairing of MC/producer MF Doom and producer/MC Madlib. And the one single album they released together in 2004 just happens to be pretty much the most celebrated abstract hip-hop album ever. Originally, I was not planning to review this album. I even kind of made a video about how I wasn't planning to review this album and why. I was talking about the virally infectious and sometimes ridiculous cult status that this album has. I asked you guys what you thought about it, and you let me know. And some of you made some really convincing arguments. Listen to me. Listen. Oh, don't type anything. Don't you. No. Death Grips, ex-military. This is a free mixtape. Look below this video on YouTube or go punch it into the search on TheNeedleDrop.com. You can download the entire thing for free. This is one of those reviews where I really love what I'm hearing, but I am positively, absolutely sure that a lot of you are going to hate this. This is some very polarizing music. However, I think it is incredibly interesting that in such a short period of time from 1967 to 1970, with such turbulence going on in the band's lineup, in their style, in their sound, the Velvet Underground still managed to put out 4 full-length LPs that make up one of the most influential discographies in rock music ever. The album opens up with the title track and the first single from this LP, and it really kind of sets the lyrical stage for this LP, promoting love, togetherness, and a really strong anti-war message. And it focuses on the way all this turmoil affects individual people, brothers, mothers, sisters, fathers. Marvin Gaye really tries to make listeners connect with what's going on by kind of bringing this family aspect into the lyrics. That the 1975 is as boring as rock music gets. What? Alright, I'm sorry. I don't really like them. You say we'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. No, we're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no. There's the good stuff. This LP has proven to be pretty influential to a lot of upcoming MCs, lyrically, stylistically, conceptually, instrumentally, but even if this album influenced no one, it would still be an extremely potent, unique, creative, strange, and pretty oddball hip-hop album with a strong personality. And most importantly, what I think the Velvet Underground and this record represents is that great music doesn't need to be commercially successful as well as critically acclaimed upon initial release, because clearly this is an instance where we all got it later. Yes! It's here! It's finally here. It is out, we are listening to it, and it is the best album I've ever heard in my life. The best rap album I've ever heard too. Better than that one, better than that one, better than that one, and better than that one. It's better than... it's the greatest. Strong, beefy, huge, gigantic, in-your-face, 10 strong... You know, sure, I feel like I could say this, or this, or this is a 10. And I guess the last sonic quality of this LP that I want to make note of is the rapper. He screams at the top of his lungs. He screams his brains out on some of these tracks. And I know at first that can seem a little that, oh, they're just being loud to be loud. But there are a lot of abstract meanings and messages and musical subtleties in this thing to be picked up with repeated listens. Plus, In the Aeroplane really has a daunting sadness that just is hard to deny. And it's hard to deny because it just does not let up. Almost every song on this LP looks for a different way to advance that feeling. What's so funny is that sometimes I don't even know why this album gets me so emotional. And I guess I say I don't know why because it's not like I really get a clear and totally comprehensible story out of any one of these songs. Of course, people have read interviews that talk about what has inspired these lyrics, but what inspired these lyrics and what these lyrics actually are two different things. I just prefer to take the lyrics as they are. And the flow that he uses on this album, as well as almost every other project MF Doom has ever been involved in, is pretty hypnotic, and I feel like what also kind of makes that sort of entrancing characteristic come out is definitely Doom's very dark, deep, and grimy voice. It's very fun music. It's very straightforward, noisy, catchy, overwhelming, blood-pumping music. It is really visceral. It is really in your face, but once you kind of get a grip of what's going on and you adjust to the intensity, it's easier to step back and see that the album required more of this than it did. My personal reviewing philosophy, and I know that sounds like crap, but my scores that are attached to my album reviews are only reflective of my personal enjoyment of the album. Whether or not I like, love, or hate something, that's it. Like the track Accordion, where you get like the track Accordion, like really a trademark track off of this LP. I mean, one of the major ones that everyone remembers, mostly because of its quietly pulsating accordion sample humming away, bringing a really interesting sound to a hip-hop beat that wouldn't normally be there. I love the sharp little rhythm behind this accordion sample and the synth bass line that comes in around 50 seconds in. Awesome. The beat has a ton of personality, but it's also kind of understated, a lot like MF Doom himself. There's just a lot of tension and release on this album, a lot of hot and cold, highs and lows. This thing is always taking a different turn with its next track. There's not much else I can think to say about this album. It's just fantastic. I'm loving this record. Freaking loving this record. Freaking loving this record. Can't really say much else about it. Kind of feeling a strong 9 to a 10 on this LP. Even though the tracks on here are kind of short, they're brief, they hit you with a lot of lyrical ideas and references that on the surface may appear to be very disconnected, this album is anything but unfocused. I would actually argue instead that this album is extremely sharp, creative, and refreshing. I think because the ideas on here are so awesome, MF Doom can present them in this kind of rapid fire way and they still stick. But still, feeling a decent 8 on this. Enjoyed it a lot and felt it was one of the most unique experiences I've had so far this year and probably will have for this year. So if a 10 is out there for me, I just need some understanding that it's just gonna happen when it happens. It's not something I really want to plan or force. Because to me, the idea of scoring and the concept of a 10 are not as important to me as just turning you guys onto artists that I think are interesting. Will it be a 10 one day? Maybe. That's all I can say. Cool? Cool. Even more. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Just gonna leave it at that. If you haven't listened to this album, do check it out. Anthony Fantano, Mad Villain, Chesta, counting to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
later, and we're still peeling slowly and seeing. Transition.